Merhaba hocam, hoş geldiniz.
Sergio hocam merhaba. Nasılsınız?
İyiyim hocam, teşekkür ederim. Siz nasılsınız?
İyiyim ben de teşekkür ederim. Öbür seans bitti. Bağlantı da koptu. Herhalde herkes tekrar bağlanmak zorunda.
Evet, herkes tekrar bağlanıyor. Hocam şöyle, kayıtların oluşması için böyle farklı yani giriş yapmamız gerektiği iletildi bize.
Hı.
Kaydediyoruz ya bir yandan sonra YouTube'a yükleyeceğiz.
Hı hı hı
O
hı.
yüzden mecburen böyle yaptık. Şimdi herkes tekrar alıyorum içeriye.
Tamam, hemen başlatalım o zaman. Okay. Good afternoon. I think we can start. Sevgi Hanım, can we start?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you so much. My name is Recep Bildik. I'm a faculty at the Finance and Banking Department of İstanbul Ticaret Üniversitesi, and also will be acting as a chair of this session. Good afternoon. I'm extending my greetings, each and every one of you. Welcome to the session. So without further ado, as time is so precious and limited in this session, we have 12 minutes for each presentation, as you know from the previous sessions, and 3 minutes for the comments and question and answers session. So please do your best to these time constraints and conclude your presentation in 12 minutes. So I'd like to invite the first presenter. The title of paper, Investor Behavior and Risk Perception and Analysis of Turkish Markets. The authors are Teker, Suat Teker, and Esin Demirel from Işık University.
We are here.
We're going to, Esin Demirel will be presenting. So floor is yours, Esin.
Professor, can you allow me to share my screen? I cannot share because it's disabled to share.
Sevgi Hanım, can you make it available?
Yes, I did. Yes, you can now share your screen.
I'm trying again. Okay.
All participants, please.
Okay.
I think I just shared.
Yeah, I can see.
Just a second to fix my screen. Okay.
So you can start.
Professor, thanks for your presentation. Firstly, I'm Esin Demirel. I'm research assistant at Işık University. The paper I'm going to present is Investment Behavior and Risk Perception, an analysis for Turkish market. And also this is a collaborative paper. My collaborators are Professor Suat Teker and Professor Teker. Financial literacy is described as the cognitive understanding of financial indicators, risk aversion, and risk perception, and also investing behavior. This study looks at the amount of stress, portfolio holding times, investing options, and attention to cryptocurrency markets, among other things. The methodology employs the Mann-Whitney-U test, Cronbach alpha, Kolmogorov-Smirnov, and Shapiro-Wilk normality test. There are many studies on the subject of investment behavior. Some of them are listed in the table below, but I'll mention about just one of them. It's because the limitation of the time. For instance, Ansari and Moit 2013 study. This study consisted of 200 young investors between the ages of 25 and 35. According to the result of this study, there are many variables that influence, affect stock market investment behavior based on age, income, and gender, it can be concluded that investing is age, income, and gender independent for young investors. The aim of this study is provide insight on investor behavior and risk perception in Turkish financial markets. The result of two surveys are analyzed and constructed in the most recent 2 serial quarters of 2 different surveys. The surveys are divided into 3 sections. In the first, a demographic question is asked. In the second half includes questions about investment behavior, and the final factor contributes to the understanding of what individuals think about the Bitcoin market. And in briefly, the study's final output of survey comparisons will be provided. These 2 charts tell us the percentage of investors' monthly income that they prefer to invest in financial markets according to 2 years, according to 2 surveys. Blue and green bars represent different categories. According to these charts, in the second survey, compared to the first survey, the percentage of the income invested by investors is mostly between 11 and 25%. However, in the first survey, it is in the left. This percentage spread to other percentages. These charts show which market investors find riskier. According to both surveys, investors find the cryptocurrency market riskier than the stock market. That is, the perception has not changed in this regard. These charts show how stressed investors are about losing money because of their choices about their investment. Accordingly, it is seen that stress levels of investors in the first survey are higher compared to the second survey. These 2 charts show whether investors have ever invested in cryptocurrencies. According to the first survey, investors invested more in cryptocurrencies compared to the second survey. According to this table, the participants in the second survey are younger than those in the first survey. In the first survey, investors between the ages of 36 and 50 were the majority, while in the second survey, the majority between the age of 18 and 35. Moreover, while half of the participants in the first survey were doctoral graduates, the majority of the participants in the second survey were undergraduates. This situation is directly proportional to the average age of the respondents. And finally, I can say that, and again, in direct proportion to the average age, work experience is less for the investors in the second survey, according to the first survey. This table shows how the participants in the last survey differ in terms of the gender. It is just for the second survey. Accordingly, investors mostly invested in gold, stocks, foreign exchange, and real estate. They invest less in cryptocurrencies. The share is higher in men than in women. Gender discrimination will be detailed in a later version of this study, not in this Congress and this study. Additionally, we asked investors if another cryptocurrency could replace Bitcoin. According to the answer, it shows in the second row. You can see it in the second row. According to the answer we received, while women cannot believe it, but men believe it, men do. Before moving on to this table, the Kolmogorov, Smirnov, and Shapiro-Wilk normality tests applied in this study, but we did not show it because of the limitation of time, as I said. The findings show that the data is not regularly normally distributed. So we have a non-normality in our data, in our distribution. So we use ManWhitney-U test as non-parametric test. According to this table, while all variables were statistically significant in the first survey, but this was not in the second survey. In all questions, or we can say in all variables, the ranks in the first survey are higher than a second survey. When we look at the mean ranks and total ranks, we can see that the ranks of the first survey is higher than others. In other words, more experienced people hold their investment longer compared to younger people. They still invest with a larger portion of their income and invested more in cryptocurrencies. Also, we can make comments such as there are more stressful in middle age or in non-younger investors. I meant non-younger investors is in the first survey. This research looks at investment behavior, risk perception, and expectations in the Bitcoin market. The outcomes reveal different portfolio diversification behaviors. While older investors invest in cryptocurrencies and take more risks than younger investors. And in addition, when we look at the gender differences in the last survey, males prefer to begin with foreign currency investment. We can see it in this table. And women prefer to begin with gold investments. As a result, respondents of investment preferences and risk-taking change over the time. And thanks for listening.
Esin, thank you very much for your presentation and also respecting the time constraints. You made a wonderful job. And also thank you so much for your contribution to this field in the academic literature, which is with your promising results and interesting results based on the survey study. And also congratulations to your co-authors who are the part of this paper, Teker and Prof. Suat Teker. Any comments or questions from the audience?
I can take any questions.
Share your comments, constructive criticism. They're all welcome. Any questions? is no question. So thank you so much. Once again, I'd like to invite the second presenter, if there is no question. So the title of the second question is the impact of the 2023 Kahramanmaraş earthquake on BIST 100 and BIST Bank Index, evidence from Toda Yamamoto causality test. The authors are Arif Çilek and Mustafa Ergun from Giresun University. So Arif Çilek, who will be presenting?
Yeah, I'm here, Mustafa Ergun. So.
Yeah, Mustafa Ergun will be presenting the paper. So please go on.
All right. Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. Let me share my screen first of all. So, is it okay now?
I can see the big
all right.
notation.
I have a problem. I can't hear really. I don't know what happened now, but something. There is a problem with the I don't know connection or something. I can't hear you very well.
We can see.
Okay, now it's okay. Okay. Okay, everyone.
But you are currently on the findings slide.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Okay. Let me take this first. Okay, hello, everyone. Before I start, let me introduce myself. My name is Mustafa Ergun. I work at Giresun University, Department of Logistics. So my topic will be the impact of the 2023 Kahramanmaraş earthquake on the BIST 100 and BIST Bank Index, evidence from Toda Yamamoto causality test. So the topic I will present to you, it's gonna be five. I divided to 5 topics actually today. It's first of all going to be introduction part, the second literature review, the third part will be methodology, and fourth part will be findings, and final part will be conclusion. So let's start the introduction. Natural disaster reduce nation's capacity for growth and development depending on the scale of the disaster and the local economy. Different economic studies have been carried out on natural disasters such as fire, flood, tsunami, or earthquake, or something else. It reveals how the destruction of life, property, superstructure, and infrastructure caused by natural disasters harms the employment, service, and production structures of economies in the short, medium, and long term. The results of studying the impact and duration of economic loss show that these factors depend on the scale of disaster, the economic situation of the country, and institutional efficiency. Also, you know, as everyone knows here, actually, something, you know, like 4 months ago, there was an earthquake in our country. So it was 2 earthquakes, which is one of them is 7.7 and the other one 7.6 magnitude in the Richter scale. And that struck the Pazarcık and Elbistan district of Kahramanmaraş city on February 6, 2023. So that leaving a trail of destruction and fatalities over 11 neighborhood provinces. The earthquake caused high loss of life and property in 11 provinces, which is among Adana, Adıyaman, Diyarbakır, Elazığ, Gaziantep, Hatay, Kahramanmaraş, Kilis, Malatya, Osmaniye, Şanlıurfa. As a consequence of the natural disaster in which over the 50,000, unfortunately, people died, lost their lives, a large group of people had to immigrate. Some people say it's like over 2 million to other cities in Turkey. People were transported to various cities by Turkish Airlines and road transport business for the free. Most of actually transport businesses gave them the service for them free. or at extremely reduced cost. Actually, they just charge it a little bit. Residents of the earthquake zone were provided with temporary settlements. The Turkish Treasury enhanced the credit warranty funds guarantees and postponed loan repayments for the companies doing business in earthquake zone. And also in this, in light of this, the sample of Turkey was used for this research. They used that earthquake for this research. The study is one of the first ones looking into how the two significant earthquakes that Turkey on February 6, 2023 affected financial markets. The BIST 100 index and the BIST bank index were each examined separately to determine how the earthquake affected them. So the Yamamoto causality tests, which we did that, and TP unit root test and ADF are the methods that set this work. Actually, let me tell you that what is stand on TP and what stand on ADF. TP is stand of Phillips parent test and ADF stand of augmented Dickey-Fuller test also. The study is significant because it adds the body of knowledge and offers fresh information regarding the impact of earthquakes upon the financial markets. In addition, while the studies in the literature are handled on the sectoral basis, this study covers multiple indexes and offers a broader perspective. So when we check the literature review, there are a couple of literature review for the, and also each disaster and also the earthquake that happened in Turkey. First of all, when we check the study conducted by Yildirim and Aloa in 2020, they evaluate the long-run association between the number of monthly earthquakes, the exchange rate, uncertainty of global economic policy, and the Borsa İstanbul Real Estate Investment Trust Index. The autoregressive distributed lag model was chosen for the research. The study's findings indicate that variables included the frequency of earthquakes, the GPU, and the stock market index is significantly and negatively affected over the long term by the exchange rate. There are another study for this conducted by Hamurcu in 2022 that studied the effect of earthquakes on the stock market. Stocks on companies in the insurance sector were examined by looking at how the BIST indexed insurance sector companies respond to the earthquake that struck in Izmir, that happened in almost 3 years ago in Izmir. Using the event study method, the findings show that across a period of 15, 30, 45, and 60 days, the earthquake had a negative effect on the cumulative return of stocks in the insurance sector. There are 2 more studies for this, which published in after earthquake happened.
Mustafa Bey, may I make a kind reminder that you have 5 minutes left, so maybe better.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Focus on your findings and the paper.
Okay, so let me go to significance. So which is better? It's going to be better. Let's go to the findings right there. First of all, I'm going to show you that table, which is figures. There are 3 figures right here, which is the left one, that's EM. It is magnitude of the earthquake. The middle part, right, XZ 100, which is that index, and X bank also index. This graphic is the real-time graphic. When it happened, the earthquake, the same time is earthquake, same time the index, stock market index, which is what happened right here in the real time. So there's another findings right here. As I also mentioned before, ADF test, PP test, which is 1/3 X bank and magnitude right here first, and 3 of them In test statistic, PV and test statistics right there, in which you can see in the table. Which is I'm going to very fast, which is I don't have time. And in table 4, as you can see, there are some numbers right here, which is that significant number. That's why we, as a conclusion, we chose the line 5, which is leg 5 actually, right here. Because Todo Yamamoto tests results, which is gave us that 3 numbers right here. And as a result, actually there's a causality with earthquake with XU100 and earthquake with bank index. There is a causality. We'll see right here. As a conclusion, an earthquake called is a trembling vibration caused by energy that emerges suddenly due to fractures in the Earth's crust and spreading the waves. It creates trembling vibration in environment and the Earth's crust. It's like definition of the earthquake. Considered is one of the most important disasters for Turkey. Unfortunately, earthquakes have had damaging effects of different magnitudes from past to present. Depending on the severity of earthquake, the damage done, and the earthquake zone, there are significant economic impact following the earthquake in addition to the loss of life. In this study, we conducted the effects of the Kahramanmaraş-centered earthquakes that occurred in 6th February on 2023, which is, it happened twice. And Turkey and the BIST 100 and BIST bank indices are analyzed. That's what we did. In this context, econometric analysis applied using BIST 100 index, BIST bank index, and earthquake in tested data consists of 2,012 observation between February 6th and February 7th, 2023. The impulse response and variance decomposition approaches were also employed to support the Todo Yamamoto causality test, which was the study's main economic tool. The Todo Yamamoto causality test results show that the earthquake had an impact on both BIST 100 and BIST bank index, which is the last word I'm going to tell. All transactions that happened in 6th and 7th February, which is in stock index, in stock market, that all canceled by the risk management because of some reasons. They all canceled. Okay, thank you very much for listening. I'm ready for the questions.
Mustafa Bey, thank you very much, and sorry for the interruption because of the time limitation. Would you like to just, in a minute, would you like to describe your data set and the methodology and the model? I think
of course.
You just directly start talking about the findings because of your time.
The methodology is, as I said, the vector aggressive model, which is VAVAR. We employed this for this study.
Would you like to show the slides relevant?
Of course. Hold on. Yes. The vector aggressive model was employed in the study examining how the Kahramanmaraş earthquake affected, and we also used that for the study. We also used the main test is Todo Yamamoto cause and effect test, which is for this we use the unit test, which is augmented decay fluor, and the Phillips parent method, which is 2 of them, was conducted for this study.
And what is the definition of data? Is it intraday day?
The data the 2 days of the all transaction of the stock market, all transactions.
2 day long data.
Hold on, just okay, hold on just a second, please. I can't really see this screen. I'm sorry. There is some problem. Sorry. Can I have the question again, please?
I ask about the data. I mean, what's the details of the, what's the detail of the data? It's an intraday data.
Actually,
you said
my colleague,
all transactions.
my co-writer is take all the data from the list. I really don't know the details. Sorry.
But you said 2 day long data.
2 days, yes, 6 and 7. Kahramanmaraş earthquakes.
Only 2
6
days.
and 7.
Okay.
He took the data, but I don't know the details. But after that, I can get the information from him and tell you.
Yeah, well, okay. Better to show it the detail of the data set you use in your presentation. Yeah, that's my suggestion. And
yes,
okay. Any question, any comment from our audience?
I would like to ask some questions, but there is not enough information about data, model, frequency, observation number. There's nothing in this presentation, so I can't ask anything. I also wonder how many observations are included, what is the frequency of data, what kind of variables use it, and why did you use this data? I think you do not have enough information about that. Your co-author, I think, estimated these models. You do not have enough information about that. I would like to ask, but I understood that you do not have enough information about them. Sorry, but we need to know, because the model you have used, which is VAR model, depends on the frequency and length of observations. I do not know how many observations included in your data, so I cannot ask them. Sorry.
Yeah,
I really wonder.
Thank you so much for your question. It seems that, I mean, they use the intraday data and transactions, so the frequency of data is might be quite enough to run the VAR analysis, but you're right, it's not clear. That was the point of my question as well.
But Hocam, Erkan Hocam, I can get information for you later on if you give me the email address, so I can send you all the info about it. I can get from my colleague. Is it okay for you?
Okay, then.
Sorry about the lack of the information.
Then you can contact each other after the session.
Okay.
So I need to move to the third presenter. Thank you so much, Mustafa Bey.
Thanks a lot.
Work and
sorry about the lack
to your
of
co-author as well. No problem at all. These are just our comments and suggestions to improve your paper and the presentation for further future opportunities. Okay, thank you. Now I'm inviting Miray Tabur from İstanbul Ticaret Üniversitesi, who will be presenting her paper on ESG ratings and the investor decision-making process, a comparative analysis of rating agencies' data and its effect on financial performance. Yes, Miray.
Hello.
Mustafa Bey, would you please close your presentation? Thank you.
Is it visible, my presentation on the screen?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm starting. Hello, my name is Miray Tabur. I'm a capital markets student, graduate student in the Istanbul Commerce University. And as you can see from my title, this is our study subject. So I will try to explain why we choose this subject. And firstly, as everybody is kind of aware of in this sector. Yes.
There's a column kind of shadowing or masking some of the writings because of the format of your slides.
Maybe I should change the slide format. Just wait. Is it okay?
No, it becomes even worse. Actually, I don't know it's related with what. Because I see that
idea.
your presentation seems clear, but on my screen, I'm not sure. Yeah, this is much better now. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I think I just like close off the participant kind of window. So the objective of our study is to find out the relationship between environmental, social, and governance performance. And I will continue from now on in my presentation calling this ESGP and the financial performance in different sectors. But specifically, our study is aiming having the two different data sets from two different rating agencies, which are Bloomberg and Refinitiv. And so to compare their results after executing panel data analysis in Stata 4.2. So we, as a methodology, this study employs a comparative and descriptive analysis using panel data from 464 companies operating globally in environmental sensitive sectors. I'm going to describe what are these sectors. The data set covers a period from 2011 to 2020 and incorporates ESG ratings from Bloomberg and Refinitiv databases. And as a financial performance, we use a return on asset metric, and we only obtain it from the Refinitiv for the period spanning 2012 and 2021. And it's the usage of the lag year, and I will explain it in the following slides. So as all we are aware of, the ESG activities and the financial performance relationship is a very a hit topic. But the problem with the literature review, when you look at them, is there are lots of different contradictory results, like a negative, positive, or even insignificant results. So our primary objective was to investigate factors contributing these mixed outcomes. We identified one potential explanation for these divergent results could be the use of the data from various rating agencies. So we collect these data and we apply our statistical analysis on it. So because we have 12 minutes of the timing, so I didn't share all my literature review thing, but in our research paper, we actually have two columns of the literature review. One of them are the data collected from the Refinitiv, and the other one is the data collected from the Bloomberg databases. So we show perfectly what are the controversial results, and with the actually only examining the relationship between ESG performance and financial performance with their similar metrics. So data methodology. So we use there is in Refinitiv, Thomson Reuters business classification system in Refinitiv. And we use these, as you can see from the slide, only these sectors, because in literature review, they are called environmental sensitive sectors. And especially because of our topic is environmental, social, and governance score, we decided that this will be more effective by choosing these sectors from our data set. And as you can see, it's from worldwide. It's not just only from one continent or specific region. So in order to compare the results of panel data analysis for the same sample companies, we obtain ESG, as I told before, Refinitiv and Bloomberg, as the time showed in the data also, but the data collection took place in May 2022. So in our data set, we use the software name Stata version 14.2, and also our sample is 4,064 companies, but because we are using 10 years of 10 years measurement, so our total sample is just become 4,640 entities, or just digits, maybe we can say. So at the same time, we actually sample worldwide with as mentioned, the sectors. So we have like more than really like 5,000 companies. So, but we decided to minimize our data set because we want to work on like a strongly balanced data set. So this means like every 464 companies that we took for to analyze, they have all the ESG scores and pillar scores, of course, from Bloomberg, at the same time Refinitiv, and also the financial metrics as return on assets. And we use some control variables in our analysis. So it includes like every data is present on those sheets. So our data set or our like equation is like this, and as a dependent variable we use a return on assets, and it's a firm ID during period of like, this is the firm ID and the timing, and data from Refinitiv. And this is the explanation of the variables that we use in our data set. So these are independent and control variables, like as ESGB, which shows the Bloomberg score. Oh, sorry. As these, like B refers to the Bloomberg scores, R refers to the Refinitiv scores, and it continues like this. And we also use some control variables, which are size, the logarithmic of total assets of the companies during the period of T. Unsystematic risk is the total debt over total assets of the company. And we have leverage, which is the total debt to total equity of the company during the period T. So, and these are the other suffixes, which the explanation of them, which are individual error term and the unobservable heterogeneity, etc. So as I told you before, that I need to explain like why we use these T-1 as a like lag period of the ESG towards our financial performance metric as ROA, because like in the literature, most of the researchers have like similar research thinking that, like, for example, we are now in 2023, like after this end year, when we have the yearly return of assets, so we can only measure the last year ESG scores, because most of the ESG scores are mostly used by the investor, shareholder, stakeholder, or individual customers. So we want to understand like the ESG performance from last year, how it's affecting to this year financial performance, because it's also like a commonly used one. So our hypotheses are like, we use two models. The reason we use two models are because when we use in like some tests, statistical tests in our data analysis, we use for the multicollinearity test for the variance inflation factor, VIF. We realize that if we put all of them in the same analysis, we are having some multicollinearity issues. So we decided to separate only the ESG scores, ESG total scores, and ESG pillar scores with the financial performance analysis, and you will see the results in I think the next slides. So we also did lots of statistical tests to like affedersiniz. Soruyu alamadım.
Devam edebilirsiniz. Please, you can continue.
Okay, just a minute. So we decide like after making like Hausman test, also we executed the test parm command to a certain time fixed effect if there is an issue of the time fixed effect. Heteroscedasticity test, sorry for my mispronouncing. Cross-sectional dependence test, Passerine test, serial correlation, which is they exist. So like we finally execute our like data analysis with entity and time fixed effect regression model. So as you can see, our model, like as I explained the variables before, these are the B refers from Bloomberg, R refers from the Refinitiv. So in the model 2, like we can see that there is a significance of the Bloomberg environmental score, which is one of the pillar score, but the other pillar scores from even Bloomberg and Refinitiv are not significant. As you can see, by the way, our like control variables, size, like unsystematic risks and leverage is like totally correlated or significantly correlated, we can say. And at the end, like which make us like a bit like shocked after having this analysis, the result of the ESG total scores from Bloomberg and ESG total score from Refinitiv, they are like they are significantly correlated, but their coefficients are like, one is like positive and the other one is resulted as a negative result. So
you have 2 minutes left.
Okay, so as I like briefly explain my findings, like we find out that like even we have the same companies and also like same financial performance metrics, we have like different controversial results with the ESG scores obtained from different rating agencies. So our like conclusion of this research paper is like in the most of the literature review, we can understand that this is due to like the contradictory result is due to the transparency of the firms, because the firms are like reporting their data to these rating agencies. But our results show that even even the same companies having this different like ESG performance and the financial performance results with the within the different rating agencies scores. So also like lastly, I think I have only 1 minute left. The limitation of the study, I want to like talk about it. The one thing is like we want to like expand our study to using like adding different rating agencies' data. Also, we want to like have a regroup our like data set to the developed and emerging markets, and also we want to use the ESG controversy score from the named rating agencies. So thank you for listening, and I hope I could explain my bit complicated.
You did great in this within limited time. Thank you so much. I like to study and on an interesting topic, and which has been attracting the attention of the scholars and the researchers as well as regulators.
I hope
in recent times, definitely there's an increasing number of research studies on this field. So I see that I rate it as a promising paper, which is highlighting the striking differences in the ratings, ESG ratings given by the different vendors, say, such as Bloomberg. So, okay. Then, of course, you can add to literature review and your contribution and the motivation part onto your paper more effectively and clearly. This part is missing. Just my quick reflections on your paper and presentation at this moment, but let's turn to the audience if they have any question or comments or suggestions for you.
Yeah, I think I got some questions meanwhile I was presenting. Can I have the question again, please?
Actually, there was, I think the microphone of one of the participants was on.
And I have a question for one of the audience member, Mr. Aslan. Do you have any addings to my statistical research, or can I share the details with your email address?
Okay. Good. Maybe I can make some suggestions to improve your article.
It will be perfect.
did you check the stationarity problem in your data before you estimate the models?
I mean, I should be, but now when you are directly asking me the questions, like I have to go back to my original study. That's why I actually want to share my study with the details to have your very useful opinions.
Yeah, because if you want to make a stationarity test to your data, you need to check the cross-sectional dependence before you check the stationarity. You know that the way of the stationarity splits on two ways. If there is a cross-sectional dependence, you need to use the second, how can I say that? Sorry. Second generations unitary tests. If there is no cross-sectional dependence, you need to check with first generation unitary tests. And then if there is no stationarity, you can use, and if there is no cross-sectional dependence, you can use also, you know, that
actually we have
random effects model. If there is stationarity problem, you need to use the model which takes in consider the panel cross-sectional dependence problem. Is, you know, that I think panel corrected standard errors model is a good way to estimate this. It is the similar way of Nivea West in OLSA, you know that? Robust one. Okay, that's all.
So, no, I really want to share my study with you, like the statistical part.
I can help you, really. I can really help you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for listening me. Thank you, teacher. So
thank you, thank you, Erkan Bey, for your also contribution with your suggestions.
Thanks.
So let's move to other paper. We have now Ertuğrul Gökçekuyu from Anadolu University, who will be presenting his paper titled A Comparative Study of Capitalism, Max Weber and Milton Friedman. It's a different paper here, please.
Am I laudable?
Ertuğrul Bey, would you turn the voice louder, please?
Do I have to turn on the voice?
Yeah.
How about now?
We need more. I'm barely hearing.
I just have to figure out how to do that because I seem to have a problem with my audio input. How about now? Is it okay?
I mean, yes, I mean, to some extent, okay, but if you're facing a technical problem,
that's fine. We hear very well, actually.
Okay.
So if the sound and the the slides are on, then there should be no problem. Well, my name is Ertuğrul Gökçekuyu. I'm from the Anadolu University. I teach political sciences and international relations. I just got here a year and a half ago from the Netherlands, and I've been teaching methods and research techniques for a while in the Netherlands. And I must admit that what I've seen, I'm just going to talk as loud as I can, and what I've seen is quite impressive. So I want to congratulate all the friends and colleagues on the conference. So well, obviously I'm not an economist. I teach political sciences, and I've been studying constructivism. Even though I do teach empirical sciences, I have developed a taste for discourse analysis. And what I'm going to do today is, within 10 minutes, I'll try to explain what I understand, because this is going to be a part of a book that I will be publishing this summer. And this is just a very simple question regarding what I look into. I look into McIntyre, I look into Alexander Wendt, Onef, and Friedrich Kratichwil, a number of names who are prominent in their own fields. And the question that I will try to answer, which I hope to contribute to this conference from a different perspective, is about as both two names, Max Weber and Milton Friedman, obviously two different two different fields and two different names, and who have done extensive body of work on, let me see if I can get rid of that, extensive body of work on the concept of capitalism. So I will try to talk about the concept of capitalism and from the perspective of Max Weber, especially from his book, Protestant Ethic and Capitalism. And I will try to talk from about Milton Friedman and his perspective on what he understands on capitalism. And I'll try to compare the two concepts. So starting off with Weber, he's obviously he's renowned for his work on the Protestant ethic and the spirit of capitalism, which I read word by word. As on the other side, Milton Friedman is known for his influential work in capitalism and freedom. So Weber goes back to 1902 and Friedman goes to 1960s. So there is a time gap of 55, almost 60 years between the two great scholars. So both delve into the intricate relationship between religion, capitalism, society, and the question of stability. How do you get that stable society from the perspective of Western societies? So although their approach differ, there's a significant overlap between the two perspectives. Weber makes a discourse analysis as a sociologist looking into the society and has a historical and religious perspective. Particularly, he uses religion, and that's what makes his views explosive, because on one side he talks about capitalism, and on the other side he brings in religion as a variable to explain, as an independent variable to explain what he understands under capitalism. And he goes back to, and this is quite significantly profound what he does, and which you miss in most cases, also within the thinking of Friedman. And then coming back to Friedman's discourse, he makes a connection, and that's an explosive one as well, because he tries to convince his readers to make the connection between economic freedom and political freedom. He makes it quite bold by saying that you can only have political freedom and a civic freedom on one condition: if you're economically free. So economic freedom determines political freedom, which is a necessary condition from his perspective. So whereas for Friedman, political freedom is desirable. This is something that we political scientists talk all the time: political freedom, civic rights, human rights, etc., etc. So which is desirable, it may not be attainable if there is no economic freedom. So from his perspective, he does focus on a welfare state, on socialism, and from his perspective, political freedom is not equal to economic or civil freedom. So there is a, if we make that orderly arrangement, there is that order. So first economic freedom, and then you will get political freedom. So, and he's against, obviously, as a liberal, he says, I am a radical classic liberal, as in terms of John Locke. As the classic liberals, he says, well, I'm against big government, meaning that the government should not intervene with economic endeavors within a society. And he does make that quite bold, because if the government keeps on intervening, it will destabilize economy as well as politics. And he says, well, if you want to have a stable economy, you should have private enterprise. So he is against the welfare state. He is against the socialist idea. He calls it the socialist thing in his book. This was a reality in Europe after the Second World War, as you know, and during the 80s, we've gotten the new right with Reagan and Thatcher, which have cut the expenses. So Friedman, the greatest threat for him is the concentration of power, because he believes that political power at some point has the tendency to centralize it. And if you want to prevent that centralization, you should have a free market and a private enterprise because he says, and he goes back to the individual, and he says the men, or men, women, whatever, the individual is imperfect. It's not perfect, and it will be apt for moral decay. So Friedman uses, therefore, the word liberalism in the classic sense. He's a proponent of the free market. Weber, contrary to Friedman, brings in religion. He brings in the Protestant ethics, and he uses the religious motive as the concept of individual free trade as a rational act, and which is a biblical narrative from Weber's perspective. And he says only in the West, he says, only in the West we were able to accomplish capitalism, which features being rational, objective, with a strong tendency for bureaucratization of the society. Any other combination is, for Friedman, coming back to Friedman, so for Weber, it's God, the grace of God, because the individual from the Protestant ethics wanted to make God happy, to receive God's grace. Man had to work and attain that discipline, inner discipline, which only happened in the West, he says. So for Friedman, individual freedom is something else, and he doesn't come back to why and how capitalism happened, but he does build on Weber. The real connection for Weber is obviously economics and politics, and he calls that classic liberalism, and any other combination is not possible for Friedman. Socialism, welfare state will not bring any individual freedom. Well, we kind of, we go back to Cold War and the tensions between the United States and Soviet Union. For this to happen, economic arrangements must be met by the state. And that's the only place where Friedman says, well, a state can make arrangements for private enterprises for a government that is least interventionist, and that will make up for free society. So he makes that bridge between politics and economics and politics, I should say, because that's one-way arrow for Friedman. Weber doesn't go that deep. Weber is not, we cannot count Weber as a theorist of freedom. He does not talk of freedom. He does talk of freedom between quotation marks, and there are many types of freedom, but his freedom is connected to order, as opposed to contractualist thinkers such as Jean-Jacques Rousseau, etc. Weber does not specifically defend human rights. He does not really talk about human rights. He does talk about democracy. He does say something about corruption. He does say something about that iron cage idea of bureaucracy, but it has to be rational. But he believes, from his perspective, as a situational analyst, freedom appears as a counter concept for order. So Weber is especially interested in order. There is a universal tendency for bureaucratization, and what will happen eventually is that the rationality of men will dissipate the corruption that exists as in the form of iron cage. So capitalism is inherent to Western.
You have 4 minutes left.
Thank you. Western historical Protestant societies. Not every culture was able to transform, which I just said, and he said only the Western countries were able to attain free labor, and under free labor he understands the contractual freedom to choose labor and wage labor. So there is law, and that law comes from biblical morality. So that biblical calling, he calls it calling and a duty, form legal order and the law-abiding spirit, and that was inherently that discipline, the law-abiding spirit. People will obey the law, and that was something to make money, but money was made for God's grace and not for private pleasure in Weber's discourse. So there's prudence to make money in a way that strictly avoided spontaneous enjoyment of life, and Friedman struggles with this point. Idea as income distribution is something that is real in his chapter that he struggles to explain, which now the United States, but also Western countries have to deal with. It's a big problem. Well, Weber regards this combination to be the fundamental basis of the hardworking individual. And somewhere else, Weber does talk about the manipulative behavior of magnates such as economic elite, political elite, manipulating journalists, etc. But that's all about it. I'm just going to make a fast. So Friedman does try to eliminate the arbitrariness of state by minimal intervention. He believes that the individual is imperfect, and he says something that Weber also says. He says that the basic problem of social organization, Weber talks about social organization, is how to coordinate the economic activities of large numbers of people. And that's the challenge that Friedman tries to deal with. And this is also something that, that Weber talks about, extensive division of labor and specialization by means of science and technology, and producing goods and services not for yourself, but for others. The former being from a Protestant way of looking at things, and the other purely from a liberal perspective of freedom. So there's Protestant versus freedom, you could say, basically, very crudely. And I think I would, so Weber is evolutionary. He believes that primitive stages of society will eventually vanish because of professionalization, because of specialization, etc. And this is where Friedman kind of agrees with Weber. And conclusion. So last 30 seconds, Weber is against bureaucratic elites. Friedman is against political elites. He believes that they're imperfect. Weber believes that it will vanish. The corrupt idea, the iron cage idea will dissipate. Weber comes from religious motives for the advent of capitalism, prudence, hard work, discipline for the grace of God. And Friedman focuses on price mechanisms, and therefore economic freedom is a necessary condition for free society. He believes in minimal state intervention, which he believes will destabilize the market, and private enterprise will be the perfect control on the political elite. On the other side, in Weber's explanation or perception in his discourse, he believes that that journey for salvation has created capitalism and created free labor, laws, from Bible to laws, and that's how he handles the question of capitalism. Thank you for listening. If there are any questions, I'm glad to answer those questions. But don't forget, this is going to be a part of a book. So just a small contribution to your conference.
Thank you very much for your contribution and interesting paper and work. I'm very excited to, I'm looking forward to your book. I'm interested also on this topic. I wish we could have hours to listen your work in detail and discuss internally with our audience, but unfortunately time is very, very limited, especially for this type of topic here. Sorry for that.
No problem. I'm happy to be able to join your conference. Thank you for inviting me to.
Thank you. Thank you. It will be great also to follow up with and receive your presentation, as well as get your book when it's published. You said at the end of this summer?
Yes, at the end of summer. I hope to be able to September, October probably it will be published. So I'm done 99%, and this is something out of that book.
Great, congratulations. Congratulations. And any audience, any comment from our audience, our participants in this session? Thank you so much once again. So I'd like to invite the next speaker. The Godwin Ola Sehinde Williams, İstanbul Ticaret Üniversitesi, İfedola Olanipekun, Adeyemi College of Education, Nigeria, and Ojunukwa Isman, İstanbul Ticaret Üniversitesi. Their paper is Geopolitical Risk is a Trigger for Energy Inflation in the European Economic Area, Evidence from Panel Time Varying Regression. The presenters are here.
Professor, they are not here yet.
So we can wait for them and move to the next last paper, which is Future of the Gig Economy. Mustafa Abdurrahman Tuğ, İstanbul Ticaret Üniversitesi, and Pınar Başar, İstanbul Ticaret Üniversitesi. I think it will be presented by Mustafa Bey.
Hi, everyone, dear chair and participant. Well, it's our paper is about future of gig economy. Because of the time limitation, I want to start immediately with your permission. Thank you.
Yes, please.
Well, the purpose. Let me. Okay. Well, the purpose of the study is to explain and understand the trend in gig economy. The gig economy involves people who work independently, job by job, using digital platforms to connect with customers and provide short-term services and asset sharing. Examples include ride-hailing applications, food delivery applications, holiday rental applications. The gig economy is expected to grow further in the coming years as more companies and workers seek to benefit from its advantages. The future of the gig economy will challenge conventional organizational structures and require new forms of collaboration and regulation. The roles gig workers will play around the globe in companies of all sizes are varied and impossible to categorize. The gig economy will also create new opportunities for innovation, entrepreneurship, and learnings. The analysis shows that the HR functions in the companies are expected to shape according to the new trends. The gig economy is likely to continue expanding as technology advances and platforms become more sophisticated. The flexibility and convenience offered by gig work appeal to both workers and employers, leading to its sustained growth. There are still ethical considerations about regulation and worker protections. As the gig economy grows, there is increasing scrutiny on the right and protections of gig workers. Governments around the world are examining ways to ensure fair compensations, benefits and labor rights for gig workers. We may see the implementation of new regulations to address these concerns. By the way, everyone see my, okay, I think, hello? Hello?
I can hear you, by the way.
Okay.
Yes, Mustafa Bey, no problem.
Okay, okay. I thought maybe no one see me. Okay, then. Sorry about it. It's important. It's important to note that future of gig economy will depend on a variety of factors, including technological advancement, regulatory frameworks, and social attitudes. The pace and direction of these changes may vary across different regions and industries. gig platforms will likely evolve to meet the changing needs of workers and employers. We may see improved matching algorithms and changed worker profiles and better dispute resolutions mechanisms. Platforms may also expand beyond traditional sectors are likely transportation and food delivery to include more specialized niches. Automation and artificial intelligence technologies could have a significant impact on gig economy. Some tasks currently performed by gig workers may be automated, leading to change in the types of gigs available. As the time, all could improve matching algorithms and provide gig workers with more personalized recommendations. As gig work becomes more prevalent, there may be a rise in workers' organizations or unions that advocate for the rights and interests of gig workers.
Sorry, do you have presentation?
Yes, you don't see my presentation?
The slides are not moving.
No, it's just one page, that's it.
Oh, okay. I just want to make sure. Yeah.
Okay. These organizations could help address issues such as fair wages, benefits, and disputes resolutions. The boundaries between traditional employment and gig work may become more blurred. Companies may increasingly rely on a combination of full-time employees and gig workers, allowing for greater flexibility and agility in their workforce. To remain competitive in gig economy, workers may need to continually update their skills and knowledge. Upskilling and training programs could become more prevalent, providing gig workers with opportunities to acquire new skills and enhance their employability. Collaborative models such as gig workers cooperatives could emerge as an alternative to traditional gig platforms. These cooperatives would be owned and operated by workers themselves, providing more control and fairer distribution of profits. Well, this is the end of my paper. If you have any, just a second, how violation of the
Even you have a few more minutes. Would you like to emphasize your contribution and the outcome of your study?
Say it again. Sorry about it. I'm trying to figure out my screen. Sorry about it. Could you repeat, dear?
Would you like to emphasize the outcome or the conclusion of your paper or study?
Well, it's sure. It's a new attitude in business work. Starting especially with the pandemic. This sure needs lots of study, especially psychological studies also to find out the people's negative and positive reaction by working as well. Paper.
Okay. So thank you so much. Let me ask our audience and the participants of this session if they have any question or comment or suggestion for you. Any comments, any questions? Share with now.
Thank you.
If no, I'd like to thank you, Mustafa Bey, for your participation to this.
You're welcome. Thank you for leading the conference. Thank you.
Thank you. And lastly, at last time, I'd like to ask if Godwin Ifedola or Ojunugwa, the authors, one of the authors of this paper, Geopolitical Risk is a Trigger for Energy Inflation, is here or not. It seems that they're not here, so I think we completed all the and covered all the papers scheduled to be presented in this session today. Thank you very much for your participation and being a part of this session. And with this, I'm concluding this session and to get ready for the next one at 2:30.
Thank you, teacher.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye
all.
Bye-bye.